My Gavan and Melonin, and well met indeed. I'm Adrian, and welcome back to Middle-earth as we continue on as the Ar-Adûnâim. I am relieved to have reached the end of the day today. I try and do these recordings at lunchtime, and then I've been running at lunchtime, so today I've had to record it when the work day has ended. And today I feel relief at that concept. But anywho, enough of this. Let us turn our attention to the Ar-Adûnâim. Last time we did very successfully hold Durthang, the Morannon, and more importantly Ur-Kestelad, because that was the only one we actually held, because that was where we fought the enemy and we won. Our army under Indrazor is now manning the borders and hoping to keep the enemy back. We are training better troops back here in our heartlands in Osgiliath, where we're going to send them forward in only one turn's time. We are then going to build the best army that we can, led by our finest, our nation's family, the Royals. And then we're going to move on and take Barad-dûr, and I'm hoping very much that in today's episode we'll be able to take Barad-dûr. Now, one thing that we're missing, though, is some competent siege. Although I wonder if a ballista would probably break the gates of Barad-dûr, actually, because we've got a ballista, haven't we?
Yes, my lord.
Two, in fact. I think they might work. I think they might do what we need. Elsewhere, Farazon and a small army is going to go and try and take Gelabrin, but all of this is going to have to, I'm afraid, come after and end turn. I wanted to thank all of you for your kind words on the intro to the last episode. Lots of people were very filled with praise for that intro, and I was really grateful to you all, because I really enjoyed that one, actually. I enjoyed writing it, and I enjoyed reading it. And so I was pleased that you enjoyed it as well, but it was a wonderful little twist, wasn't it? Obviously, we actually just exterminated everyone in Durthang. Of course, we didn't give them the option to live, but it's just when you add some sort of narrative behind those decisions, I just really like it. It gives me so much more oomph to keep going, to carry this grand charade on. Also, if I may say something, Nvidia is having an absolutely terrible time of recording videos at the moment. I recently was praising going back to recording Warhammer using Nvidia instead of using Streamlabs OBS, because it records in essence in identical quality, in a maintained quality is what I should say, with a far lower file size, and the computer also just much prefers being recorded with Nvidia. It doesn't roar when it's as it does when Streamlabs records it. But unfortunately, Nvidia at the moment is having a really hard time in working out which one of my screens it should be recording. So I'm going through all different hoops and jumping through all different manner of things to try and get Nvidia to record the right screen. And in the last Warhammer episode, the quality took a dive because Nvidia just, I don't know what it did. I don't know. It's something that it's just completely lost on me what actually happened. But the video for the most part is fine, but every now and then it just completely bombs in quality. And Windows, when I review the video in Windows, it tells me that the video was recorded at only 20.23 frames per second, whereas Nvidia should be recording at 60 frames per second, as Streamlabs did before it. But I think I kind of know what I need to do to solve that, so I'll look to do that in the future. But anyway, I mean, that makes absolutely no difference here, but I like to voice these things. It helps me sort of work through these pains and annoyances. I always hope that by saying these things out loud, inspiration might strike and I'll suddenly think of a way to fix it. But I have an idea of how to fix it, and I think I'm going to do that over the weekend, because that's when I'll next record. Right, the Morannon, we would like to get, if we can, a garrison up, but we haven't got very much money and we are putting our money elsewhere, really. So I'm not sure that we'll be able to get one, but I might as well queue it up, might we? Now we should kill Gan-Altan, but what I will do is I will ignore Gan-Altan for now.
Your orders, my lord.
Oh no.
Yes, my lord.
Right, between these two, let's take out the ones that are going to lead the primary army. So it's going to be you, you, and you, and you. Yes, my lord. And if you would then just come and stand on, is that where you need to go to? All right, maintain your movement. Let's move you over there.
Your orders, my lord. Right,
I'd like your Narduzagar, I'd like those. Bowman generally. I would take Ar-Adûnâim Armsmen, even though they're under reps. Right, we only need one line plus one, so we only actually need 3 or 4 more units. I mean, you'd want to take the Faithful, wouldn't you, and the Armsmen, but then there's not very many of them. Have you got any Narduzagar? Oh, yes, you have. Take those Narduzagar. Take those Narduzagar, and they'll merge into a 1. That's all right.
Yes, my lord.
Otherwise, though, that's all low tier now, isn't it? Yeah. And then what have you? You've got those arms, but we can't merge those into anything. Oh no, the 99 of them, they'll merge. Yeah, and then the 3 that remain just go into Orchestralad. Okay, so we only need 2 more units. I'm tempted with the crossbows, but no, I think I'm going to take bowmen. I think I will take bowmen. Your Nardu Tarak are full strength, are they not? No, I think they might be able to take those. Yes, there we are. Nardu Tarak full strength now. This is looking much nicer. Have you got any other Narduzagar? No, because you would have merged them already.
Yes, my lord.
Do we bother taking? I think we're going to want to make sure we've got some archers. I don't think I will take the faithful. I think I'm going to leave them behind. Controversial though it may be.
Yes, my lord.
We don't have any other bowmen. That's disappointing. Plenty of crappy bowmen in that army, obviously.
Your orders, my lord.
And then you need 1 unit.
Yes.
If you merge any of those, you might be able to merge some of those. But what we're going to do for now is just attack this fella. Send him on his way.
Yes, my lord.
Can you merge? Yeah, there we are. Right, you're the backup army. And Ar-Gimilcad, the conqueror of wherever. Oh, just literally the conqueror. He's beaten so many places, they've stopped naming them. And they've just started calling him the conqueror.
Your orders, my lord.
That's when you know you've made it. Alright, I think that's it then. So, with the army marches, are you going to get attacked up here, though, is the problem? Almost certainly. I didn't know what to call the last episode either, and I think Time Runs Out is actually just a bit generic and vague. I do like to give a title that reflects a thing that has happened in the episode. But I just couldn't really find anything that had happened. And like tightening the noose I've used way too many times, so I needed to come up with something. And I settled on Time Runs Out, but I'm not sold with that. Not sold at all. Right, Mordor did attack. We are going to have to fight it. We are going to have to stand our ground here and take them on. But before we do that, I'm just going to check something, so bear with me just one moment. There'll be no change to yourselves, but I'm just going to go and look at something. Welcome then to the battle map. So, I've had an absolute mare. As expected, I was recording at the wrong quality level for those first 7 minutes. Unfortunately, we didn't fight any battles, and that's where the quality really matters, doesn't it? But oh dear, it's been a long day. And it's evidently showing quite strongly now. Anyway, here we are on the battlefield. I didn't get a chance to properly look at what we are up against. All I can remember is that we are being attacked by Mordor. There are some Uruks in there. It is a fairly strong army, but we do have the Rohirrim back. We've got 2 units of halberdiers and some footmen. And we've got some elites in here as well, actually. That's nice. Right. Make a nice wide line like this. And then you and you are going to go right. But I'm not going to stand you outside. I'm going to keep you behind the line. Put the cavalry all the way over there so they really make the enemy think. I think I might, once I've sorted out the problem with NVIDIA that I was talking about earlier, and part of the reason why I've been mentioning it so much is because whilst I am pleased with Streamlabs OBS's performance as a streaming kit, I think it's got a lot more options over NVIDIA. It's far more user-friendly. But I think from a recording point of view, NVIDIA just still cannot be beaten because it records, it's just so much better tweaked and tuned to record. So I think I'm probably going to go back to recording with NVIDIA, but that's why. And so that was partially why it was on my mind, and it would solve problems exactly like this, where I forgot to change the setting from the streaming setting to the recording setting. Oh dear, ho hum. Anyway, this week has been a good week for game-related things. The next Guild Wars 2 Living World Return episode came out on Tuesday, and I was playing through that in Siren's Landing, isn't it called? The Ore region. Which would mean nothing to most of you, but also, of course, Seer and the new season of Apex Legends came out this week as well, and I've yet to play it, but I will do soon. I have no doubt. Right, cavalry, let's move you up. Let's see what we are actually up against here. We've got Black Uruk Halbeards, Orc Host, Moran and Guard, Orc Host, crappy trash. They have got archers, which we've not got. 2 archers, in fact. Oh, and actually not very many Black Uruks at all. Oh no, 2 Black Uruk archers, 1 halberd, 2 halberds, 1 normal sword. Plenty of Black Uruks, in fact. Alright, keep that cavalry moving around the side. Let's keep pressing. Keep your spirits high. Oh, and also something I knew I'd forget about that as well. I was going to talk about the Amazon picture that released recently, because you must have seen it. And as I've got to edit this video anyway, I'll do everything I can to remember to put a screenshot of that picture on the screen right now whilst I'm talking. It'll only pop up for a brief moment to cover the battle. But anyway, the screenshot which has got the whole world talking, because as many of you will already know, the news on the grapevine was very much that Amazon did not have rights to show anything from the First Age, and that the Amazon TV series was going to only focus on the Second Age. And then with this screenshot and the announcement that the show is going to come out in almost 1 year from now, September 2022, the screenshot, of course, shows the 2 trees. There is absolutely nothing else in the Legendarium that they could be. They are just trees. I mean, it's not even worth talking about. They are just the 2 trees of Valinor. For those of you, of course, that are not in the know, before Aman, the world upon which Middle-earth is set... no, that's the continent that Valinor's on. I can't remember. Anyway, the world Middle-earth is on has a name, and it's not in my head at the moment. I've already mentioned it's been a long day, because it's been a bloody long day. Anyway, the world that Middle-earth is on, the greater planet, if you will, was not always lit up by the sun and then in the evening the moon. And originally, before those 2 concepts were dreamt up, or rather before the Valar, who would become the sun and the moon, took to the skies to do that, Valinor itself and much of the western part of the world, and I mean the whole world, not just Middle-earth, Valinor was lit by the light of 2 great trees, Laurelin and Telperion. And they were created by the Valar, of course, and they gave off this great light, and they shone. And I assume, that's something I don't think I've ever read up and confirmed, actually. I've always assumed that one of them shone to give daylight and the other one shone to give moonlight, and so they were kind of alternated in terms of someone in Valinor, it was probably their job to go and turn the trees on, for example, unless they'd set up some sort of scheduling system. You just don't know, do you? But anyway, the world, the western half of the world, was lit by these 2 trees. The 2 trees were then destroyed by an ungodly alliance of Melkor, the great enemy, and Ungoliant, the void incarnate, basically. She's obviously the mother of Shelob and this great spider, but she took the spider form. She wasn't... I think the prevailing opinion is that she wasn't a spider. She wasn't created as a spider. She just opted to take spider form when she came to the world. But anyway, the 2 of them joined together, and together she essentially drank the life energy out of the trees, thus dimming them, or in more modern parlance, turning them off. And so later on down the line, after a series of events, the Valar take the decision to put the sun and the moon in the sky, and that then lights the world forevermore. But those trees are in Valinor, and Valinor is only really dealt with in the First Age. So it's interesting that Amazon have a screenshot of that. Now, also, we're far away now from the screenshot actually showing on your screens, but you'll have noted, of course, that on the left-hand side of the screen was a large city. Now, that city is either the great city of the Noldor in Valinor, called Tirion upon Tuna, or more often just simply called Tirion, but it could also be the city that the Valar themselves live in, which is Valimar, because they absolutely love putting VAL at the start of basically every word. It's one of those 2. Now, my gut instinct was that it would be Tirion, because Tirion is described as being upon a hill. Tuna is a hill, not just a type of fish. And that's why it's called Tirion upon Tuna, much as in Rome is very famously built atop 7 hills, isn't it? He says, Rome is very famously built atop, a fact I can then not remember. But Rome is built across a couple of hills, isn't it? It's famous for that. And Tirion is famous for being built atop the hill of Tuna. But aside from that characteristic, Tirion is also famous for being in a valley with very sheer cliff faces either side. And if you search online for that picture again, or you go back earlier in the video when it was shown, and get that image up again, you will note that it is in a valley with very steep cliff faces on either side. And so I think it is more likely to be Tyrion than Valimar, personally. But each to their own. It could be either. I mean, the how close it is to the trees would suggest that it's Valimar, because that city is right next to the trees, because that's where the Valar live, so they built them right outside their house. I'm doing everything I can. I know this is totally tangential, but my head's just all over the place, so I'm going to go with it. When I did a lore video many years ago, I didn't roll the R on the word Valar. And as many of you will know, a singular Vala is called V-A-L-A and is pronounced Vala. But the plural is with the R, and in order to really make that sound heard and in the way it's spoken, you roll the R, you give some oomph to the R, so it's Valar. You have to roll the R at the end there. And in a lore video I did a while ago, I was talking about the Valar, and I didn't give enough emphasis to the fact that I use the plural. And when someone wrote a massive scathing review of my YouTube channel and my lore videos many years ago now, one of the points that he started it off with was, or ended it with, sorry, was, and after all of this crap that he'd written about me, he then ended it with, and props for using the singular Valar instead of the plural Valar. And it just wound me up more than any other comment. So much so, it's the only comment in that long tirade about how terrible I was that I can actually remember. And it's because it's the one that was the most nonsensical, the most stupid of them all. And I won't go into too much detail about that, but I've already mentioned before how Tolkien, in his own words, mispronounces Sauron as Sauron, and how as soon as I heard that, I never again take any pronunciation comments from fans seriously in any way. If Tolkien isn't even sure how he wants to say things, then you, 50 years after he died, let alone wrote the bloody thing, you don't get to tell me how to say it. But anyway, I'm sorry, that was all irrelevant, and I didn't even focus on the battle. This has just turned into me moaning about bad fans, and that's poor form. But anyway, the picture was released. I think it looks amazing, personally. I am an ever the optimist. I will always think the show is going to be good right up until the day that I see it. And then I will judge the show on its own merits, in the same way that when the Hobbit movie was announced, right up until the Hobbit movie was shown to me in the cinema, I was totally optimistic that it would blow my mind. And I'm the same with the Amazon show. To live otherwise is to live in a realm of darkness and shadow that I don't wish to live in. So I think it's going to be good, and that image I think is going to be brilliant. Now, the third point of let's discuss at length while nothing happens in the background, or rather while we prepare for Barad-dûr, is the woman standing in the image. I think absolutely is going to be Galadriel. Because, and hear me out on this, The Lord of the Rings is very popular as a film. As you all know, Lord of the Rings won a ton of Oscars. It was the highest grossing movie for a very long time. I think Avatar was the movie that finally knocked Lord of the Rings off of the perch of highest grossing movie of all time. It's in the top 5 or 10 when it came out, wasn't it? It was a huge film. It made a lot of money. It was very successful. The books, of course, are wildly famous. Anyone who's interested in fantasy knows of Lord of the Rings. Almost anyone who's interested in fantasy has probably read Lord of the Rings. And almost every fantasy thing since people have started writing fantasy things has been based off of Lord of the Rings. But that said, the film fan base is still what you would call casual, and Amazon is going to cater to that quote-unquote casual fan base. And to the casuals who haven't read The Silmarillion, they haven't read Unfinished Tales, they may have read Lord of the Rings at some point, but to them it's just a book and a good film. They are going to come at this show and be like, where is everyone? Where's Legolas? Where's Aragorn? Where's Gandalf? Where's Frodo? Where's the Shire? Where's this? Where's that? Where are all the things that I, as a casual fan, recognise? And the only things, of course, that carry on throughout the entire story, the constants, if you will, from the first age right through to the third, are Galadriel and Gandalf, from a casual viewer's perspective. And I think the show is going to hugely focus on that name recognition, so that people who are coming to the show without any knowledge of this wider world, the first or the second age, those people need something that they recognise, and Galadriel is going to be that thing. She's in The Lord of the Rings, she's in The Hobbit, and she will then be in the show. Personally, I think. And so my opinion is that the image that we have just been shown, because of course Galadriel very famously was born in Valinor, and she migrated east with Feanor's company, although she of course walked across the Helcarax, the ice flows to the north. She did not take the ships with Feanor, and she didn't really see eye to eye with him, to be honest. And she was kind of forgiven of her family's trespasses later on in life. But anyway, she starts in Valinor, and so I think personally that is going to be Galadriel, and we're going to get a sort of almost an origin-esque story of Galadriel, or something about her past that they can then link into for the story later on down the line. That is my thinking. I think Galadriel is going to be a huge character in the TV show, and she is going to be the anchor that ties all Lord of the Rings visual depictions together, personally. Now, of course, Gandalf at the time of the First Age is not called Gandalf. He's called Olorin. But I think, I was talking to Jess about this the other day, and I think they could very easily do him with a sort of gotcha moment, if you will. So, because fans of the diehard fans will know he's called Olorin, and they know he's not called Gandalf at that point. He doesn't take the name Gandalf till he comes to Middle-earth. And I think they'll introduce him at the end of an episode or something, and someone will say, someone will say something to the effect of, "Oh, Olorin, what's your opinion?" And then it will cut to a shot of him, and then it will go black, and the episode ends. And then so all the diehard fans will be like, "Oh, it's Gandalf. Gandalf's going to be in the next episode." And then for everyone else, they're like, "Who the bloody hell is Olorin?" And then in the next episode, they'll just call him Gandalf. That is personally my belief on what they're going to do. Right, anyway, enough discussing about what might happen. Let's turn our attention to this horrible battle that we now have to fight. Because we've got a big army coming from directly behind us. It's got actually, I think I might lose this. Because we don't have anything to deal with those beasts or those trolls. Yeah, I don't think this is going to go well at all. But the army coming out of the gate doesn't know what it wants to do, so we've got to use that to our advantage. Is that a cavalry unit? Oh no, orc archers. Right, get involved. Sauron's Will, Black Orc Halberds, Mordor. Good to know that Mordor's coming. I was unsure who we were up against until then. It's the great beasts. They've hit those archers. Oh, and they charged into Morannon Guard in the end. That's not ideal. Pull out. Ah, bugger. Now this battle doesn't massive. This battle doesn't matter massively. Get a bloody charge on them, sons. Get a bloody charge on them. Get a charge bonus. Move over there. Charge back into those. Right, the halberdiers, in the circumstance, are the best thing we can send against those damn beasts. But even then, it's a poor matchup. It is a poor matchup. Right, let's try and use the cavalry to free up this side so they can get those beasts killed. You just keep... Oh, those archers are dead. Good. Got Ranagard over there, Black Orcs over there. Sauron's Will. Let's hit those in the back. Go. The beasts are just massacring those Rosadan halberdiers. Yeah, like every hit is like 10. Sugar. I don't want to use the word sugar. I want to use something far more pointed than that. But it's not becoming, is it? Becoming of a young man. Sauron's Will are looking like they might run. Oh, we haven't really seen Sauron's Will, have we? Sauron's Will looks really good. They're one of the few orc units, I think, that actually stands above the mire. And I mean, granted, their colour scheme is still the same, just black and grey. Darkness is their colour scheme. But despite that, because they wear this sort of tabard thing that almost no other orc does, and they've got a cape as well. Most orcs don't have capes. So that helps them stand out. Is the Sauron's Will the captain here? Not Sauron's Will, sorry, the beasts. We ride for Rohan! How are we doing over here then? Right. We can deal with everything that's on foot. Absolutely no trouble. But those beasts and those trolls, they're just going to get us. Now, I think the trolls we might be alright because we've sent in the Nardu Tariq now. Nardu Tariq are armor piercing. So we've got that in our favour. Into position over there. Oh, those other Alberdiers are almost dead. Oh, because the Black Uruks came over to help. Oh, that's not fair. That's cheating, Mordor. That's cheating. How have they got great beasts out in the bloody dead marshes? Riddle me that. Oh, the Mariner Guard turned around at the right time. Please do comment below with everything that you think about the image that was up on the screen. I'd like to hear everyone's thoughts, to be honest. I want to hear those of you that are really well versed in Tolkien, those of you that live and breathe it. Tell me what you think. Those of you that only really like Lord of the Rings in passing, you're fond of it, but it's not your life. I want to know what you think. If you've not commented on the channel before about something, this is something I really like to hear, because the Lord of the Rings show is so divisive already. That I'd love to hear people's opinions on it, and this one I'm very intrigued by. I want to know who you think the person standing in the image is. Is she going to be some made-up elf that they're going to focus on, who, which is something they can absolutely do, of course. They can make characters up as much as they want. No one's going to be annoyed by that, because Tolkien just doesn't have enough time to name every elf, and there's always others. But who do you think she will be? Do you think that's Tyrion, or do you think that's Valimar? And more importantly, why do you think the First Age is being represented? Or more accurately, why do you think Valinor is being represented? Although that said, it has to be the First Age, because by the start of the Second Age, the two trees have already long been destroyed. So it has to be the First Age. Rohirrim, come together! The Second Age of Middle-earth, of course, focuses almost exclusively on Númenor, because Beleriand has already been sunk beneath the sea. And I can't remember Galadriel's movements off the top of my head, but by the Second Age, I think she's either already taken up residence in... No, she doesn't move to Lothlorien, actually, until long after Amroth dies, does she? This is where our general will now die, and this whole army will be defeated, by the way. Because... what can we do against those beasts when you haven't got javelins and you haven't got siege? Sod bloody all is the answer to that question. Oh, at least we killed the trolls. Oh, there he goes. Were you a real person, Pharazôn, or were you a... Well, I mean, you were called Pharazôn, and it's a shame that you've died on that point alone. Auto-resolving wouldn't have helped either, because great beasts are fantastic in auto-resolve. Arguably, they're better in auto-resolve than they are in normal combat. But it is over. Let's just try and see if we can get a few killed off. No, they just massacred us. God, how do you deal with these things without range? You just cannot kill them without range forces. Nah, get everyone out. Just run away.
Enemies may have won this battle.
Oh, that's so annoying, because we had such a crushing victory over their earlier army. It's just so frustrating. Isn't it? We've got money and we've got troops. We will take Gelebrin. This isn't the roadblock. This is an annoying little loss, far from where everything matters. But yeah, I can't remember what Galadriel's doing in the time of the Second Age. I can't remember where she lives at that point. Because of the Second Age, Beleriand has already sunk beneath the sea, as I'd mentioned already. All the elves that survive it have already migrated to Middle-earth, and the humans have been moved off to Númenor, where they now live in blissful, peaceful love and everything.
We should retreat.
Oh, why would you go for Orc-Estelad, you little shites? I hate Mordor. I'm pleased that this episode is drawing to a close, because in many ways I shouldn't have recorded today. I tried not to record when I'm not really feeling it, but today I was actually feeling it. I was just feeling tired. I'm enjoying this. I'm just knackered. Oh, you're never going to win. Just defeat and run away. But I can't be bothered to deal with that Mordor army that's just attacked Orc-Estelad. So fortunately, we're soon to close in on the end of the episode, so I don't have to deal with that, which is good, as I am not in the right state of mind to fight that Urk army. Urk. I've said this before, but I'll say it again because it's an interesting tidbit. Urk, or Urk, from Orc-Estelad, literally means orcs. It's the plural of orc, and it is the Sindarin way of saying orcs. Which is cool, isn't it?
Your orders, my
Oh,
lord.
look at these bastards covering the roads. And where'd you get all this stupid armies from? Why won't you just die? Please, I beg you, just die. Just sod off and die. Right, Eastern Osgiliath, you've built everything now, haven't you? Oh no, we've got an army barracks. And you could get a catapult if you wanted a catapult. And there is the army barracks. And yeah, go on, chuck it in. What the hey? What the hey diddly hey hey. Alright, my answer to the how do we kill the great beasts and how do we take Gelebrin is I'm just going to train everything. If Mordor want to try and hoard me to death, then I'm just going to try and out-hoard them. And may the best horde army win. Let's chuck in that. Have you got a Ballistite? No, it's already been trained. Right, I'm going to just plough for Barad-dûr. Barad-dûr is the be-all and end-all.
We can go no further.
Barad-dûr must
We shall
fall.
continue.
Your orders.
Indrazor will be able to kill Kruklik, I have no doubt. He's got a good army. We'll be able to deal with that. But as mentioned, I don't want to deal with that now. So even though we're a minute or two shy of 30, I'm going to call it there because if I fight that battle now, I will lose it. Pharazôn, I have a horrible feeling that you were a family member and that is a terrible death. Oh no. No. He doesn't appear to have been a family member. Sorzagar, Kalimetar. Oh, Pharazôn. Yes, he was. He was a blood son. He was a blood son of Lord Gilmazorn. That's great to see. Interesting. Those two have their actual died in battle icons, but these ones have the stones. I don't know why that is. I don't know why that change has come. But anyway, someone suggested we toggle Fog of War, actually, didn't they? And I don't think we've done that for a while, so let's do that in the interests of learning about a mod. I no longer mod. So I've lost the excuse that this is for this is for training purposes. It no longer is. It's just straight up cheating now, isn't it? But anyway, Khand are doing well, and Dol Amroth are exploding. Yeah, I did think it would go that way. Harad are not good enough to hold Dol Amroth back. They need support from Mordor, from Ar-Adûnâim, from Khand. And so a double war for Harad is just not good for them. They're fighting Khand and Dol Amroth. Now, granted, Dol Amroth are also fighting Khand, which makes Amrûn a bit of a sticking point. But no, Harad are basically out. Dol Amroth are powerful. They will always now be powerful. They're not losing any of this. We've really kept them in it. But our fight against Gondor is going to be good, isn't it? Ho 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 ho, Gondor, are ye ready? Gondor, do you have any enemies? Must be Enedwaith, surely. Kingdom of Gondor. No, you're allied to Enedwaith. Oh dear. Oh, you are at war with Isengard. Oh, good. So you have got a focus. Oh, look, there's Saruman himself. Like a child in a candy shop. Just seeing and disbelieving. So it's Enedwaith and Gondor versus Isengard, but Isengard are doing very well. They've taken Edoras, they've taken the Hornburg, so Rohan are almost out. In fact, we almost border Isengard if they get to the Aldburg. That's interesting to note. Well, let's turn our gaze wider. The elves sitting in Lothlorien doing now. Dol Guldur giving them a lot of pressure, because Dol Guldur are monstrous. Goodness gracious. Bjorn's Halls has fallen, Fenelm has fallen. They are storming it. In fact, the Anduin are dead. Did we already know that and I've just forgotten that? Did I destroy the Anduin? No. No, the Anduin are just dead. Oh well, so Dol Guldur have done very well. Dorwinion and Dale, it's an interesting one. Dale have pushed all the way down to Elgar. Dorwinion still holds Naburka, they still hold Mornathel, but they have lost Strondust. Rune, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because Rune are no longer bordering Khand, who they are also at war with. Yeah. Eastlings of Rhûn, Haradrim Tibes, Mordor, and Dol Amroth. I, of course, am not at war with Khand. Ideally, I'd get them to be allies, side with Dol Amroth and wipe out Harad, but you can't always get what you want. But Rhûn, I think, are being kept in check then by the combined Dale and Dorwinion alliance. But Dale is having to turn its attention to Dol Guldur because the elves, as usual, are doing sod all, sitting in their forest, shooting arrows at anyone that walks in, but otherwise not bothering about saving anyone. And the dwarves are being sort of kept at bay by Gundabad, really. They have taken a Nazanar, but there's armies knocking around here and there. So it's an interesting dynamic in the north, actually, without the Anduin. That's interesting. Over in Ar-Adûnâim, though, it's all very much as expected. Angmar have pushed all the way across to the west, but the dwarves are now sort of stepping it up. Although the dwarves are at war with Mithlond, aren't they? The High Elves, sorry. And that's notable and noticed there. Harlan or Forlorn, the only elven hold in the west. And in the east, they have got Anon and Arod, and they've upgraded it to an elven city, which gets the cool elven strategy model. And that's their capital as well, interestingly. Gildor still lives, still carries on. Yeah, it's an interesting world map. There's no real winners. Dol Guldur looking very powerful. I've never seen Dol Guldur that strong in a long time. But then equally, the elves haven't died off yet, so there's still a fight in them. Khazad-dûm haven't even managed to take Khazad-dûm. Oh, that's terrible. Come on, guys. Step it up. But it's Gondor and Isengard we're interested in. We want Isengard to get stronger and really hit Gondor so that we can then... we can attack Gondor when their trousers are down. If for want of a better analogy, a much better analogy, we can hit them when they are weakest. But for now, that is going to conclude today's episode. So I do hope you've enjoyed it, despite my ranting. I will remember to put that image in because it's such a big part of the episode, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. But until we speak again with the Battle of Middle-earth episode coming this week as well, have a good week. Navar na den per mad melonin, and farewell.